What's up, guys? Welcome back to Against the Fence, the show where we dive deep into the world of MMA and do give you the fighters up front and live. We tell you exactly as it happens and what's going to happen. I'm your host. I'm here. I'm Sai, and today we've got a very special guest. It's Billy Ray Goff, the welterweight warrior from Groton, Connecticut. He's stepping into the octagon this weekend at UFC Vegas 107, and he's up against Ramiz Brahimaj. And there's an interesting story behind how that came about. It's pretty much a last-minute step in, but we'll be touching on that in a second. Further to the introduction, this piece of a man, Billy, he's 9'3", and got a reputation for kind of bringing the heat. Billy's the kind of man who will set himself on fire and burn his opponents in order to get his opponents burned as well. So, like, he's on a mission to climb the ranks, and we're going to be able to talk to him a bit more about their journey, his prep for this fight coming up this weekend, and just what makes him ticks as well. So let's get right into it. Billy, how are you doing? Welcome on the show.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure. Never a chore, I tell you. But it's awesome to have you here. To be fair, what's the vibe been like this week for Fight Week? You're fighting on Saturday. Has that kind of settled in yet?
Yeah, I think it's been a good camp. It's been a long camp because my last one fell out, so I kind of just kept the ball rolling for this one. And there's been hiccups through, like there's always hiccups. There's always a little bit of chaos, and it's just been rolling with it. No matter like the opponent switch up everything, just whatever. Just I'm fighting, dude. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to get in there and do something.
Nice. Cool, yeah, because that's one thing people don't think is, are you coming straight from the couch, or has it been a bit of a pre-camp before this? But yeah, it was you kind of keeping the ball rolling from your previous activities, training and getting ready. How has this new fight with Brahimaj like changed from your previous opponent that you was going to face up to? Stylistically, how different is it really?
The game plan stays the same. Like stylistically, he's like almost on the other end of the spectrum. But the game plans, it's like weird. It's like you took the key out and turned it around, but it still fits.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense. But he's a righty. I was preparing for a lefty. Ko throws a little bigger, a little heavier. But Ramiz doesn't move exactly the same. He has a little bit of the same bounce step. At times he'll ski. He'll kind of enter big like Ko does. Hits a lot of the same takedowns, like inside trips. And like almost like Flair, like he like more like snatch like singles and what. So and I was preparing for Ko to grapple me. So I was preparing for the grappling and the clinching. So it's kind of like, all right, so we're still going against somebody who wants to grapple.
Yeah,
if he wants to stay on the feet, then that's fine.
Yeah, brilliant. So there it is. You've got it's kind of, you've got this this grappling artist, it's this jiu-jitsu based artist, and that's what Ramiz is going to bring it, more submission game, more the takedown game. So if you got your takedown defense on point, then great. You're hoping to keep this standing, I trust.
Well, so I plan on doing both.
Okay.
Like it's just I don't have I don't have to take him down. I don't have to keep him on the feet. But there's certain things that I want to do. Like the first round, there's some stuff that I want to work on. That's for me. And then second round is for Michael Bisping, and third round's for fun. And it's I'm not going to go into too much detail.
No, of course.
But like if he starts grabbing me, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to take him down and whatnot. So, and you got to establish a takedown.
What does second round for Michael Bisping mean?
I don't know if he would even get it if I said that. But there was just when he was commentating, there was something that upset me that he said, and not because he wasn't being mean. He commentates, he's just being honest, he's saying what he thinks. But it was like that's not like, it was in my mind, it's a misconception, a misunderstanding of what I can do, like what I know how to do. It's like, all right, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Oh, brilliant. There's no other better way to do it than on this stage this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. I mean, because I've watched your fights as well, and you know he I know he loves your fights, Bisping.
Yeah.
I can hear it. You know when he's on Dana White Contender Series. How does a guy go from getting knocked down in the first round to manage to turning around and getting that victory, to getting a stoppage win? Yeah, you know it's incredible. I mean, I think if you look in the dictionary under the word grit, determination, and just sheer sheer violence, then I think your name will come up. You know, next to BSD, but your name will be there. Perhaps Poya, you know, you know, you're making your way into the same camp, you know, in terms of treading the road for fighters that bring an absolute brawl, get the fans on their feet, and
Yeah.
and have that entertainment, you know.
And the thing is, like, I don't like when I think about it, like I don't fight for the fans. Like I don't fight that way for the fans, and I don't fight period for the fans. Like I do that
Hmm.
because I'm doing this because I enjoy it. It just so happens that the fans like the way that I fight.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting because some people do it for the fans, and look, we take it.
Yeah,
We take it. You know, we're the biggest
absolutely.
winners in those fights. Let's be honest. It's not the fighter. It's us. But you know, you do it out of sheer enjoyment.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
it. It's a violent man.
yeah.
Okay, man, that's really cool. And I guess let's talk a bit more about and I do want to do full circle, but also you know something we do here with the fighter Q and A's is just get to know a bit more about you as a fighter. You know, so a bit of hometown pride, right? You're repping Cronton, Connecticut. Um, how has where you're from really shaped you as a fighter or you as a person?
So I moved there when I was 5, um, and I've lived there for my whole life. Um, I think the biggest thing I couldn't tell you. Hmm, I
Tough
don't.
one.
Yeah,
Was it the
I,
food? Maybe the food. I don't know. I mean, you got Frankie Edgar who's big on his pizzas. You got Dustin Poirier who's you know he's from the ends.
oh yeah. Connecticut does have really good pizza. And I like everybody shits on Connecticut, but I actually like love Connecticut, aside from like the politics and like the government because taxes are horrible, but whatever.
Oof.
Uh but I love it as a place. Like the nature is beautiful. A lot of the people are beautiful. And I think
Mm,
that's the biggest thing that I've found in Connecticut is the people that I've built around, like the people that I've circled around myself. That's what made me kind of who I am and the person and like the brought me to the height that I'm at. Um, and I
nice.
think there's something it's just something about the state that makes you that way.
Okay. And any local sports or people back home who've kind of been key to your journey?
My gym, the the Rough House. I've been there since I was 18, and it's shaped me into the man that I am now. I kind of in my formative years, my family, of course. Um, the I wrestling, growing up wrestling there. Wrestling's
Yeah.
kind of made what I am.
Wow. Was there any kind of like key protagonists, like heroes in your past, like MMA wise, that inspired you to start treading this road into was it maybe local heroes that in your wrestling arenas perhaps, or was it like the UFC?
It
Um,
was it was the UFC. I remember like, and it was I never wanted to like when I was in high school or like as a kid, I didn't want to be like I didn't my plan wasn't to be a fighter. Um, um, I was I like I, all I cared about when I was a kid was wrestling. Um, and I liked fighting and I knew I wanted to try it. And that was because of I used to watch fights with my friend Kyle. Um, and I remember watching Anderson Silva. Um, I don't remember which performance it was, but one of his fights, it was just like it was just so mesmerizing to watch what he could do. I was like, wow, that's it was like because when I grew up watching like Bruce Lee movies, um, and my dad always made me watch those because like it's pivotal for your youth, and so I just admired fighting. It was just so cool, and like the martial arts was really cool. And then watching Anderson Silva, it was like a modern day like martial arts legend to me. I was, wow, this dude is phenomenal, and I think that's what caught my eye towards fighting more so than anything else. And then when I finally tried it, I tried it little bits at times growing up. And then after high school, when I didn't have wrestling anymore, and I got into training MMA, that's when I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
This is me now.
Yeah.
Look at me. That's cool. All right, so it kind of like easily transitioned in. It kind of made sense. It was never really the go to plan, but look, it's as it's to be. You've been chipped and crafted for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, and then we see you in the Dana White Contender Series. That was your route really to this stage, wasn't it? It was through Dana White Contender Series. It was like a breakthrough moment, if you like. Um, and I think there was the TKO in that round. Was it Shimon, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Schwartzky.
that's the guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, obviously, it didn't come without its perils. I mean, you got dropped in that first round, something I was mentioning just a moment ago, quite early on. And then you was able to turn it around and still finish him in that first round as well. I know Bisping was pretty amazed. But, how did that feel for you? What's going through your head after getting dropped to the ground in the first round, thinking, okay, I don't know, whatever you're thinking, to then come back and do it in the way that you did? What drives you?
I was just pissed. I was mad. Like, and I wasn't like, it wasn't like, oh, I hurt and I'm mad, or like, oh, you hit me and I'm like, it was like, I always strive for perfection,
Mm,
and never get it. But like, I was so angry. You can see it in my demeanor after the fight. I was just so, and
yeah.
to the point where it messed with my head and I was fighting sloppy right after like for a little bit. There's a point where I like kind of check back in and start doing better.
Mm,
Um, the, um, but I was so angry that it was like, all right, now it's not perfect. Like now it's gonna like things, it doesn't look as good. And so I was just angry.
you go back and watch the fight. You see how good it really was.
Yeah,
Better than you
I'm
thought.
not so mad anymore.
Yeah, better than you thought in a moment. You come back and watch it. Actually, it wasn't so bad. You look. It shows some grit and determination. I want to know what Dana White said. In the changing room before the fight, because I heard that he had. He wasn't particularly pleased about the fights on the Dana White Contender Series prior to yours. And I heard he had a word with everyone in the changing rooms before. What was that about?
He was just kind of like he was trying to like pump us all up and like motivate us to go out there and chase a finish.
Worked.
Uh, well, I mean, I didn't listen to much of it. It's like the thing is like I was the first fight and I was like fighting in like 25 minutes, 30 minutes from then, if that. And to me, I was just like, dude, I'm about to fight. Like I don't give a shit what you got to say. Like that's the
Mm,
thing is like when anybody brings that up, it's like that had nothing to do with why I fought that way. I didn't fight that way because of the weekend before, which like it
mm,
just worked out perfectly. The weekend before was boring, so and I got to be the first fight back um from that weekend. The But it was like I didn't do that for the fans. I didn't do that for Dana White. I didn't do that for um like okay, all right, this is my chance. I really got to lay it all on the line. It's like
mm,
I fight that way every single time. Like
mm.
so I don't have to I don't necessarily fight so bullheaded and like forward all the time. But like that dog, it's just that's always there, dude.
Wow. Yeah, it doesn't take Dana White to bring it out of you. It lives in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. And then obviously you got your contract, and then we find you in the UFC. You're on the stage. You come in, you take your debut, and you pass that test as well in flying colors. So that was brilliant to see. Madison Square Garden, pretty epic.
It was Singapore.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, right. Sorry, Singapore was.
Yeah. I wanted
Um.
to get on Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I tried, but everyone wants to get on Madison Square Garden, so
Yeah.
they weren't going to give it to me.
That would
Not from
be that'd be the one. Yeah. No, watch that Singapore one, because you knocked him out with a right hand to the stomach as well. I'm thinking, where was I didn't see any power in that, but you must have those mystical hands, which just when they land, it's just powerful. And they
No,
just
I
found the
didn't.
right time and the right point. It was beautiful.
Even Paul Felder said it. Like I didn't really put that much on it, and I didn't. Like I remember, like I didn't sit on
Yeah.
that one. It just perfect timing. It caught him while he was soft.
Yeah. No, I mean, couldn't get any better. I was like, wow, did you just find the off switch? Like, the reset button must have been. But
Yeah.
on last reflections, I guess, your last fight, and that was against Trey Waters now. Um, of course, it didn't go the way you wanted. It was a great fight still. I mean, how are you going to go up against this prospect of a man he's only lost once in the recent years against Gabriel Bonfim, wasn't it? And also the height difference, the reach difference. What was your strategy going into that fight? And do you feel like you got a chance to implement it fully? Because you were competitive, and I wish there was like another 15 seconds on the end of that first round, because it might have been a different story.
Yeah, going back and watching it again, I still think I won. I think the judges made the wrong decision. Um,
You had the output.
yeah, I had more numbers all
Mm,
across the board. Cage control. Um, the It is what it is. I didn't listen to the game plan as much as the grappling, the takedowns that I was going for wasn't the takedowns that I was planning on going for.
mm,
Um, I got all messed up in the head and like got super stuck on wanting to lift them, which just was. I remember like during camp, I was thinking like, okay, if I don't get this takedown or this takedown, I've got my lift. Like I can lift them. I can do that. But it's like, all right, that's not the first takedown. It's like, all right, if you set it the lift up with this or that, then it might have gotten it. But going straight to
mm,
it way harder, and it would have been a lot easier to take him down with other means. Um, and it was just I didn't really stick to I wasn't listening to my corner. I wasn't listening to the game plan. I wasn't listening to myself. I kind of just started rushing from the jump and got all messed up mentally and just it is what it is. It's part of the
mm,
game. But that's the biggest thing that I took away from it is like even on like days like that where I don't like if you're not feeling good, you don't want to be there, whatever, you still have to be able to lock in and focus and
mm.
still do like you got to be aware. You got to be able to pay attention. You got to be able to stick to the game plan, stay focused. And that's what makes a world champion.
Well, there it is. You're very self aware, which is great. And any specific adjustments you've made in training based on that particular experience that's going to help you in what's coming up this weekend?
There's certain things that I've changed in my training, like just straight workout wise and like cardio wise. Nothing like I've always done a lot of cardio. I've always been in
Cardio
great
is
shape.
great, man. Good cardio is
I
great.
appreciate it. That's what I pride myself the most on because I
Yeah.
work really hard. Um, the But the biggest thing to kind of combat what was the issue last time is just a matter of having fun. I think the last camp I just had a lot going on and I wasn't like I when I got to the fight, I and like I didn't want to be there.
Mm,
Or I even
yeah.
walked out. I was like, it just wasn't a day that I wanted to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, but yeah, I mean, you still looked somewhat good, man.
Yeah, no,
I think you looked. I still think put another 15 seconds at the end of that first round, and I think you would have just been, you could have got a win in that first round
yeah.
again.
And like everybody loved it. It got fight of the night. It got fight of the month. It was in the
Yeah.
top 10 fight of the year. It was and like I had good moments. I did really good things. Like it's not a like and that's another good thing that I kind of already knew. But that just solidifies it more. When it's a bad day in the office, it's still a good day. Like
Yeah.
if I'm having an off day, if I'm having a bad day, I can still kill you.
Noted. Okay, noted. I won't cross you the wrong way. You know. I mean, we
Well,
got.
in the cage, I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm a outside of the cage. I'm not very confrontational. I don't like confrontation. Not a huge fan of it.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. It's so much questions to get into, and I have to acknowledge our our viewers who are in the chat, plummeting through with loads of different questions and conversations. So just shout a couple out, and I might read some out as well, just because I'm gonna get away from time. But we've gone full circle, and the next thing to talk about really is that upcoming fight this weekend. Get into more the gritty details around uh that thing you're looking for, and also maybe some things you might be expecting. But I'm sure these guys would have the jump on me on some of those questions, so we'll probably hear it from the guys in the chat. Let's have a look. So we've got Canadian Bacon in. He says, all right, Billy, you are the man.
Appreciate you, Canadian bacon. I wish I could have some Canadian bacon right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you're of course there's only so much you can eat, isn't it?
So
Only,
yeah, I the UFC is making my meals. The worst part is about like today, because like I can eat today,
mm,
um, drink water, but I have to drink a lot of water. So it's whatever. But then I can't. I don't have any salt, so all my food kind of tastes gross.
uh, uh,
It's just
uh.
it sucks.
Yikes, fair. It's so particular. It's wild. But Canadian Bacon's got to get his questions in because he's got to run off to find some MMA gyms. Apparently, this guy, hey, of the same ilk it seems. Look, question one: what combat sports athlete, if any, was the most influential? Oh, I did have that one already, didn't we? We asked about who's most influential in your career so far. Did you have
Yeah,
anything more to add on to that one, particularly?
I think Anderson Silva was the one who sparked my interest, but I want to be like GSP.
Yeah.
That's like my MMA idol.
Are
Like
you
in my
saying that because Canadian Bacon is clearly Canadian? Is that why you're saying it?
no. That I genuinely mean that. The
Fair
it's
enough.
just he changed the sport. He changed it in ways that nobody else has.
He did. He did. And if JK was in his seat right now talking to you, he'll be pitching a tent hearing you say it because he loves DSP. He's a big fan. But another question from Canadian Bacon here. He's when have you had to really overcome adversity behind the scenes in order to kind of get out there and perform on the night as well? So he recognizes how much you overcome adversities inside the octagon. He's wondering, do you have that same kind of tenacity and grit outside of those of the cage too?
Um, I certainly think so. I mean, I grew up. My life growing up wasn't. I mean, it could have been harder. Can always be harder. I didn't grow up
Mm.
in like I wasn't mining as a child. Wasn't in slave labor. But my life growing up as a kid was pretty tough. And I dealt with a lot of addiction and alcohol in my family, and it kind of made me very self-reliant. And I had to do a lot of things on my own growing up. Um, and wrestling was kind of that outlet. And it was always the way for me to just like go. Like I've always been I used to get called a hammerhead as a kid. My dad would call me that all the time, hammerhead. Um,
Oh,
and I've just always been very bullheaded. Um, the I've had points in my career where I've had stuff going on outside of it. I remember I was like there was points where I was like sleeping on my buddy's floor, in his room, for like a month. Then I went and stayed with my sister, in her kids' playroom. I slept in a small bunk bed, and it was surrounded by a bunch of toys, just because I was staying with my parents and we got evicted. Um, and there's just so like there's been a good amount of adversity that I've had to come through. In these recent years, I've been very privileged, but I think that's because I've set myself up in a position because of all the work and intelligent decisions I've made.
over the years to get to where you are now. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's a question that we can't answer just one on. Ask just one on. You need to follow up to that and potentially therapy too. It
I
sounds
have two
deep.
therapists.
Yes. If it wasn't one of the fan questions, I'll certainly get under the hood of that a little bit more. But yeah, man, it's no wonder that it's helped to transpire inside the octagon also. Um, Look, always the hammer, never the nail. Yeah.
I've gotten my ass beaten a couple times, so sometimes it goes back and forth. Sometimes I'm getting hammered, and then the nail comes back.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, it doesn't stop you from being one of the best looking in UFC. So JK says here, we better tell Drew Dober that there's a guy coming for his best looking fighter award.
I'm not coming for that freaking chin award though, dude. That thing is crazy.
There's two things in common you guys got there actually. So did you know that it's going around the internet that you are one of the good looking fighters? The the handsome fighter reputation. Do you kind of lean into that? Were you aware of it at all?
I kind of lean into it. I'm a bit of a whore. Pardon my French. The uh, I've had a lot. Like the crazy thing is, like you would think that as like someone who like I've had other people compliment me and tell me that I'm handsome and whatnot, but I get so many dudes on my social media. Like it's I if I ever felt bad about myself, all I got to do is go find the gay men in my DMs and they'll gas me out, man. They're very sweet. They're lovely.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's not all they'll do to you. There'll be plenty more.
Yeah, I try to lean into it because
Of course.
I think it helps with my following. It helps me like it helps like play what you got, man.
Yeah, this is it. And but Drew Dober was also in that list. But also something else you guys got in common. I mentioned it just before we went live. Is the shirt you've got is I love D&D, which I thought was Dungeons and Dragons, but it's
It is.
kind of
I do
close.
love D&D, but it's just fun.
we'll, we'll leave the bottom of that shirt to off air customers only, viewers only.
Yes.
But otherwise, yeah, Drew Dober's a huge Dungeon and Dragons fan. He taught me something. He joined us for a watch along here in UK when he came over, and I'm trying to think what it was when something is sub 20 or something like that, or
Not 20.
nat 20. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, right? Yeah.
That's like it's a critical success. So like if I were to like, hey, you're gonna try to pick a lock, give me a dexterity check, so see how well you can move your hands. Um, and it's you'll roll 20 and like depending on your character, you have certain modifiers. So, like you have stats that will boost things that you can do. Like if you're a rogue, like a sneaky guy,
Hmm.
you'll have like some people have like +6, +8. Like you can have different stats, or you could just be dexterous. You could be a monk and you have good dexterity. Um, and so you add it to your stat. But if you are someone who doesn't have any good dexterity, you're horrible at something, or like you're super weak, like, hey, I'm gonna push that boulder out of the way. All right, give me a strength check. But you're really weak. If you roll a nat 20, it's up to the discretion of the DM. But usually, like as a DM myself, I always give it, usually. Unless they try to like kill a god. If you roll a nat 20, it's usually an automatic success. So it's like, oh, you killed that guy in one shot.
Uh-huh.
Or
Uh-huh. That
you
was
threw
that
that
was that was
boulder
a
through the
question. That was a question I think we asked for Drew Dober as well. Is like, has he ever rolled a nat 20 in the octagon before? And I guess, what about you? Have you had an experience where you felt like you rolled a nat 20 in the octagon?
I think so. My debut might have my debut could have been a nat 20.
That would have been your nat 20. There we
Yeah,
go.
because I finished him in the first. I wouldn't call the contender series a nat 20 because that's more like a that was more like a 15.
All right, man. Well, look, you proved it to me. You're definitely a D&D fan. And yeah, Drew Dromer's got the one notches back. Question here from Matt W. He says, you're one of one welterweight fights on the card, although Giles versus Gustafsson is at catchweight. Are you looking at that fight maybe a next opponent, perhaps?
No, I wasn't thinking about that. The whenever there's other welterweights on the card, I always look at it as like, all right, who else will I have to fight if people pull out?
Mm,
Which sure as shit. Um, the but no, I no, I haven't been thinking about that.
fair.
I
Matt,
could have.
Matt,
There's other people that I want to fight. Depending on how things shake out, there's
yeah.
other people I want to call out.
Nice, nice. Hold that because I'd love to know. And but with Matt W, he does say any teammates on the card that I can build a parlay off of. I guess he's looking for those good opportunities. But you're a favorite in this fight coming in. How's that really? How is it knowing that going into the fight? Does it add a little bit of extra pressure to your performance and what you're gonna
No, it just I mean it sucks for my friends and family who want to make
do?
money.
And
Uh,
Matt W.
the So, but no, it doesn't like I don't really care about the odds so much because I've been huge underdogs. I've been a big favorite before, so it's just like whatever happens, happens. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Strong stuff. Okay, cool. And I'm going to get some more of those questions in the chat as well, guys. Thanks for chiming on in. Keep them coming through. I'll come back and visit them as shortly as well. But you know, I don't want to get too far away from talking about the fight that's coming up this week. And I know we touched on it already at the very front end. But also, you know, stepping in that last minute for that fight, do you tend to find that it pays in your favor? You know, being a bit of a surprise wild card for the opponent you got there, or does it really kind of pay in their favor?
I mean, it depends on who had a better camp, I think. I think it'd be pretty. I think most of the time it pays in my favor because I do the cardio that, like, no matter where it goes, if we grapple for 15 minutes, I'll be good. If we strike for 15 minutes, I'll be good. If we do a mix, I'll be good cardio wise.
I mean, you got to be very aware of his submission game as well when you're down there grappling with him, aren't you? So whilst you'd be all right, I guess, you know, would you not be focused on hanging out too long down there?
I mean, I have no problem sitting down there. I'll stay down with anybody. I have really good grapplers at my gym. I have very good grappling coaches, and I believe I'm a very high level grappler. So I'm not like his grappling's good. I'm not saying I don't. I respect his grappling for sure. He's definitely a threat down on the ground.
Yeah.
But I'm not like worried about it.
Can you share a bit about your training camp? Like who's been in your corner? Who you currently working with? What are you focusing on?
So like my head coach Michael Dexter, he's gonna be cornering me. My teammate Austin Shala, he's gonna be cornering me. I've had a few other guys I've had a privilege of other. It's always nice when you have teammates who are in fight camps as well while you're in camp. And I've had two other teammates fight this month. Jared Sweet, he fought last weekend. And then Marcus Cinchon fought May 9th. And they were working really hard. Proud of both of those dudes. Jake Kasky, Randy Francis, Eric Zane. Those are other guys who are out of my gym who have been helping out a lot. Brendan Ward's been coming down. Trevor Goody from Mass. Got a good group of guys down there.
Oh, solid. Okay, cool. So you've been able to be drilled, tested, and trained in those kind of grappling ground scenarios, even long before this fight was, of course, because even in your last opponent, that was something you're looking out for too, right?
Yeah, I feel well prepared. I mean, and like the way that I look at it is like, no matter what, at the end of the day, like he could catch me. I mean, he could kick me in the head and knock me out. He could punch me, like he could catch me and put me out, or I can slip, or I can do something, or like he just like he's got a slick transition, takes my back, and he gets something. But when it comes to preparation, to I'm good.
Yeah, very well prepared. Yeah, like your favorite going into this one, and yeah, I'll back you, man. You seem to be, you know, watching your previous fights, I've always been excited to see what you bring into the octagon. In fact, I tend to look a little bit ahead of fights, and I know as a fighter you're looking at the very next thing. But if you was to maybe entertain me for just a moment and look at the wider welterweight division, you know, it's stacked right now. You got Jack Della Maddalena, and he's right there at the top. Shavkat Rakhmonov and Michael Morales as well, making waves in the division. But how do you see yourself fitting into Murderer's Row, if you like, out of all the contenders as you go up above the ranked 15?
I believe I can beat any of them. I watch them fight, and I can see how I can beat them. I don't know all of them. I haven't watched all of them fight. But I've watched a good amount of them. Like I've watched JDM. I would love to fight JDM, Shavkat. I think I honestly think that Ian Gary would be one of the harder fights, mostly because he not like physically, because I believe I'm stronger than him. I think he would have, I'd like not so much the harder fight, but I'd be really interested to see what his game plan would be if you were to fight me. I think he would come up with the most intricate one, or like I would think his would be the most surprising. Whereas the other guys are going to stick to what they do. But I would love to. Yeah, I see myself amongst them.
Solid,
I want to put myself above them.
Nice. Yeah, he might be a bit more of a third round, grind him down sort of opponent, given, you know, I think your cardio could be a secret weapon in many of those matchups. You're right. Do you have any dream matchups in the division where you're eyeing down the road?
Or
maybe even JDM, right?
I'd love to fight Hamza at Bo Nickel. Those guys are, even though they're not in my division, they're a division up, but I've fought at 85 before. Um, so I would do it again.
Yeah, that's solid. Um, Bo Nickel, yeah, man. I mean, you're not afraid at all of any of those names that you've mentioned. I mean,
I mean, no
yeah.
more afraid than anybody else. I mean, like
Mm,
they they could all hurt me. Like they could all beat the like you can get knocked out, you can get armbarred. Um, like anytime you step into a cage with somebody, there's fear. Like I get scared
mm,
of fighting just because that's human. It's human
yeah,
nature.
yeah.
But none of them scare me as much as my coach do. So
Well, there's a secret. Yeah, wow.
yeah,
I
I would
was gonna
much rather
say.
fight than my coach.
Cool. Yeah, look, shout out to your coach who just, is able to install the fear of God in a man. That's something. It's but no, you're right. It's a mental game, right? MMA it's as much mental as it is physical. So how would you how do you get your mind right before you fight, especially like with the pressure of performing at such late notice? Do you have any methods?
There's a lot
Me-
of things that go into it. There's different daily habits. Like I have a like there's so much that goes into it. You can talk so long about it. Like I have anchor points. Like my team calls anchor. I anchor myself. And it's just like a reset reminder. Like, hey, like take a second. Like just feel your hands, feel your feet. What can you see? What can you hear? Be right here. Hands up, pump your jab in
get
circle.
yourself present in the moment.
Yeah, and that's like I remember I did that in the cage in Singapore, and I felt so good. I remember and I've never felt like that. I've only felt that was the only time I've ever felt like that in the cage. And I didn't do it at St. Louis. I was like too worried about the finish. Like I remember being immediately as like right before the fight started, I was like,
Hmm.
I gotta go get the finish. Instead of being present and like just being where I need to be. And I do that during practice. I do that during like at night if I'm thinking about the fight and I'm anxious. I do it. So those mental resets are important across the board.
Brilliant.
I journal. I have dailies that I do every day. I journal and which is helpful in multitude of ways. But the dailies like that keeps me. I'm on like 166 Duolingo streak.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, and it's just like do it every day, and I check them off. And and like the thing is like with mental stuff, um, some days it's just about getting it done. It's not a matter
Mm,
of I don't need to do 6 Spanish lessons today. I'm just going to do a little bit and get it done so I can check the box. So it's just consistency.
that's
And
fantastic.
there's so many little tricks that you do to keep your mind right.
Mm.
And the biggest one that I've been trying to keep in this camp, which it's not easy, especially during camps, is just having fun.
Wait, that's not easy. I guess when you got a coach that fears you, maybe that you fear like that,
No,
maybe
no,
it's a
no.
bit harder.
Well, the I'm not like fearing him on a regular. It's just like if I think about it, if I had to choose, like if I had to think about fighting him or fighting somebody else, it's like I'd much rather fight somebody else.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
and the crazy thing is like he's like 230 right now.
Who's he?
And
Who's this guy you mentioned?
he's Michael Dexter.
Michael. Yeah, yeah.
He's fought quite a bit. He's and the scariest part about a guy that big is that he can move, like he bounces around and he's quick and he's agile like I am, and it's like terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not go there. Okay, cool, man. And I'm really interested by what you said there about the anchoring and the mentality and getting yourself right. I mean, I kind of want to exercise a bit of that a bit later as well. I've had a few fights last year, and I've just like boxing, like stand up striking, to be fair. And I'm excited to get into another one this year as well. So you're always looking for certain ways to incorporate new things you learn into your fight game.
Yeah,
Well, that's me anyway. But
if you don't grow, you die. You
yeah,
know, if you don't grow, you're gonna die. So you have to always be willing to accept and adapt and try new things. And like, all right, this works really well, and like, oh, this thing works, so I'm gonna start doing this, and like, I'm gonna add this thing in. And like, I coach wrestling and I coach kids class at my gym,
mm,
and I I get all of those kids onto it as well. Like, hey, we're gonna anchor, we're gonna do this, and like use it elsewhere. Like if you guys go on a date and you're nervous, or like if you have a job interview and you're nervous about it, if you have to give a speech, like it's all the same stuff. It's just I'm right here, just be right here. What do I focus on?
Wow. I feel sorry for the next girl who goes out on a date with me because I am just going to slay. I've got it down now. I know what to
There you go,
do. I know what to do.
sir.
Okay, well, I learned it here first. That's fantastic. And I guess also about the kind of ticking off, saying you're going to do something and ticking it off. Saying it's self-professing as well, right? It's almost like I say I'm going to do something and you're doing it, and then when it comes to these bigger stages, which you kind of do what you say you're going to do, it's almost like, oh, you've been doing that already for the last how many day streak?
160 something.
160 something day streak. So it's just another day in the office. Well, let's get back to some fan connection. You've got fans hyped up for this weekend, especially after your exciting fights that you've shown us over the years. What's it like hearing the crowd or seeing the crowd supporting you online, and how does that really fuel you? And also I'll come over to the chats and see what other questions are here too.
It's fun. It's cool to like the. I haven't really had like I've had very little, but I've had some, but very little like shit talkers, like trolls
Okay.
and like negativity. There's always some, but it's like surprising and kind of enjoyable to see how much like just support and love that I get, and it's a privilege. The coolest part about it all, like from all the fans and whatnot, is like when people like message me and like, oh, like, hey, dude, like you motivate me, and like I started going to the gym because of you, or this or that, or like I picked up training again, or like, hey, I've started eating better, um, or like I'm just trying to do this better. Like it's that's like the coolest thing in the world. It's such a privilege to be able to help like motivate other people just by doing what I want to do by working hard.
That's cool. That is cool. I bet it sort of, yeah, I bet it feels like I bet it feels strong, encouraging, right? I bet it does. Let's have a look here. We've got Matt W. He says a Jack versus Goff matchup would go hard. So he's fully invested from behind you and JDM stepping into the ring to dance.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
does Gary beat Brady or Buckley? So this is AQ chiming in. Interested to see what happens in your division ahead of it. Have you given much thought to bouts ahead of you that and how they might match up?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know who the um, the tougher fights are. I think um, I think Shavkat would be the toughest fight.
Mm,
Not because he's the best. I think JDM's the better fighter, but I think JDM I could take advantage of his striking in ways that I think Shavkat is going to want to grapple more, which will make it harder to do the things that I'd want to do. Um, but I think, for Ian Gary versus Brady, I think Brady should win that. But you never know. Ian Gary's a fucking smart fighter. That's Ian Gary's best weapon is he's very smart and he's disciplined. He'll stick to the game plan.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, he is incredibly disciplined, which is good. So you think that Shavkat rematch would be tougher for him than a JDM bout?
Oh, for Gary, I thought you were saying for me. For mm, no, well,
Tough one.
yeah, no, I think JDM would be harder for Gary because Gary's gonna try to wrestle JDM. Like Gary doesn't want to go wrestle Shavkat. Gary wants to keep it on the feet and strike, so he's avoiding the wrestling. So he has to defend. Whereas he's not gonna want to stand and strike with JDM. He's gonna want to wrestle him, and he's gonna have a hard time doing that. Because if he
Mm,
stands and with JDM, I think he's gonna lose that fight.
yeah, yeah, fair. Yeah, he's gonna have to look at different ways of getting it done. But yeah, I think that was the gist of AQ's question there. Just kind of Gary, does he beat Brady or Buckley, and then also just the interest in what does it look like it looked like ahead of him. Um, I think we just got another question in, and then we'll be wrapping up with some of the fan questions. But this is Day Sean. He's chiming in here. He says, "What's up, Billy? Good luck, fam." Question: I'm a '98 baby, and as well just turned 27, and I want to learn about how to fight, just like self-defense, though. What class would you recommend I take? I've got a kickboxing gym right near me. Does he start there, or should he start with other grappling, other disciplines? What's your take?
I would start with striking because every fight starts on the feet.
Nice.
Like you should get into some jiu-jitsu, especially if it's for self-defense, because that's gonna help you the most. Because even though for every fight, especially street fights, every fight starts on the feet, every fight's gonna end up on the ground. So do both, but start with striking.
Stand up is a good one, huh?
Yeah.
And George Mary's in the house, just kind of gracing us with his presence. George Mary was good. Nice to see you, geez. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, because I've sat on a few fighters before, and it's always a question of standing up, because that is where every fight starts. But then it's almost like, where do you want to go? Because when you step into the UFC, or you do mixed martial arts, you understand how fundamental grappling can be to kind of get you out of really sticky situations.
Yeah, that's the thing is like if someone doesn't know how to grapple, you can't survive in this sport anymore. Like if you're not a grappler, you're not going to survive.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to be at least good enough to stuff takedowns and back up to your feet. But if you can't even do that, you're just
look at JDM. It might not have been wise for Bilal Muhammad to completely neglect the striking. Sorry, the grappling. But look, from what grappling he did do, JDM was able to do it all off of his striking credentials. So
yeah,
hey.
I mean, JDM is a phenomenal grappler. He just doesn't. He wants to strike. Like he wants to hit you in the face, which I get. Like that's the thing is like if I had the option of like punching you in the face or breaking your arm, I'm gonna punch you in the face, dude.
Yeah,
like, it's cooler, more fun.
Noted. All right, let's wrap up then with a couple of questions. But let's look at those big UFC goals that you may have. Then you're quite early in your UFC career, of course. You've got a ton of potential. So where do you see yourself in the next year or so from now in the UFC? What's the no? Let's not say the next year. Let's say next 5 years. So what? You're 27 now.
Yep.
So let's go. Say again. Sorry.
Before, like by the time I'm 32.
Yes, exactly. What do you see? What's the goal?
I said I'm 27, but I turned 27 in June. I'm not 27. I'm 26.
Okay, and June 18th, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Or I'm gonna have to find out how you're gonna celebrate that too. But
with some kind of food. the I could win the belt within the next 5 years for sure. Win the belt and keep it.
Nice. Yes, nice. Hold it down. Like, you got phenomenal cardio, and I think that's going to be one of the main problems the division's going to have to kind of pull up from you, is the output and the cardio. But not to mention, you do introduce your striking with those leg kicks, which I think are a problem to most people who have to stand opposite you for them.
Yeah, and I people who look at like Colby Covington, like his cardio is a problem because he just goes. He's always got a good pace. It's like I can do that, but I'm not I'm not as small as he is. I'm bigger than he is.
Fair. I just had a thought as well, actually. Nate the Train, what division is he in?
Nate the Train.
That might be an interesting fight to see, but I have to do a little bit more delving into that. I was looking before at seeing what other good contenders could be a good matchup for you next, should you get the job done this weekend. And I know for you fighters, when it does come to these kind of things, it's just looking at that next immediate challenge in front of you before you go on from there. But you did say earlier you had a few fights in mind, or call outs in mind. Could you give us a sneaky peek as to who you might be shouting down that electronic microphone on the night this weekend?
There's a few people that I want to call out. I don't know exactly how I want to word it on the mic yet. There's a couple people I was also thinking about calling. I'll tell you The big ones I'm gonna keep to myself, but I was also thinking about potentially calling out Danny Rodriguez, um, just because he's
Nice.
got a big name.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's good.
shoot me up.
Hey, yeah, take that.
Yeah,
D-Rod. D-Rod, call that out, yeah. It's a good name.
but
Um,
we'll see.
Good fight too. Say again, sorry.
I don't know if he'll take that one. I don't know what it's hard. With like thinking, I want to call people out, and I try to think about like the future fights and whatnot. But it's with how many fights the UFC gives me. Um, it's just I don't know exactly what I'm gonna be able to get done. You know.
Yeah, you kind of got to work within the confines of that. That's true. Yeah, fair enough. Um, but would you trying to think of any fighters off the top of my head which you could probably bring into it that you could probably look at too? Are there any kind of well, we talked about your dream fight already, didn't we? I
Mhm.
like D-Rod. I think that could be a good shout out. I would love to see what other ones are you have under the hat. You're not telling us exactly, but we'll leave it for the night. But sure, I hope you'd have a few more there to throw out there too.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with a. If I can come up with like a quick sentence of three people, then it's like, all right, I'm giving a bunch of options out there. So
Mm-mm. See how
it's
they,
like different tiers, different people. It's like, all right, maybe I'll get one of them.
yeah, yeah. It's not a bad shout. I mean, the sport is evolving fast as well. There's quite a few different things happening, and there's a lot of changes in the welterweight division. I think as of late, it's actually incredible. I've been pretty impressed by um the different levels of talent coming through from the likes of where Colby Covington once was to where he is now in the division, and just a new talent that's really surpassed him. Colby Covington, there you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd fight Covington. I don't. He would never fight me though.
No, he wouldn't, would it?
I
Let's,
mean, like, it,
there's a good fight, and then it's like, would he take it? You know, he's of a profiler, which
yeah, and like it wouldn't make sense for him to fight me.
no,
Like, I would love it because it would shoot me up super high. Um,
it'll
who
put
did
you
he
on the
fight last
map.
year, though? Right? He lost to
Second,
Buck. Who did he just lose to?
he stepped in there with, was it?
Wasn't it Buckley?
It was, yeah. Buckley pieced him up real bad.
Yeah. And like
Yeah,
anytime if he fights anybody younger, any of the younger prospects, that's what's gonna happen.
yeah, most likely,
And
most
like
likely.
Buckley's a machine, so
Mm. He is, and he's rising fast. He's an absolute prospect. I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing next. You've got the likes of Brady, Buckley up there, and the Chef Gas. Yeah, like I said, it's an absolute dangerous dog of a division. And you, my friend, are the next dog coming on through. So I love to see how you rise up through the ranks. This weekend is your first next immediate challenge. So let's get that done. Let's get out of the way. I love your confidence. I love your fixed mindset as to how you already have made yourself at home in a division. So you just kind of got to put the key in the lock and step into it.
sorry.
That's it. But hey, man, that's all we've got time for now. We're coming up to the o'clock on our end, and I want to thank everyone who's chimed on in, all of you guys through both TikTok and on YouTube who've put some questions in and engaged here in the Q&A. But if you haven't done so already, do like and subscribe. Make sure that you are following closely to all of our activities that's going on here over ATF throughout the week. We have yesterday, we just sat down with Kyle Propolek, and we got to talk to him about his fight story, where he is now, his next 4-fight contract he's got in UFC. And today, of course, we're here with Billy Goff. So if you guys got any questions, do follow this guy on his Instagram account, which I believe is Bill Goff.
Yep, Billiam Goff.
Billiam Goff, there it is. So do follow him on there. Do you have any other shout outs, Bill, that the floor is yours?
Huge thank you to my sponsor, Nummy's Bakery, and my team, the Rough House, Team Dexter Vale Tudo. Huge. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So just want to thank them and my family.
Awesome, man. That's great. That's great. Well, huge shout out to all of those guys too. And for you guys at home, thanks for joining us. Join us this weekend. I won't be there, unfortunately. I'll be away, but the boys will be in the house giving you a full watch along to the upcoming fight. So make sure you're there and you're square. But yeah, that is Billy Goff. Thanks again, man, for your time this evening. I'm just going to say go to a closing sequence here on the YouTube channel, but I'll see you off air and I'll say bye to you as I go into the other room just after this. But for now, for you guys watching, love, peace, and chicken grease.